It's the world's fastest half mile with 160,000 seats, the last great Coliseum. Many, many names, but we'll compare it to a gymnasium with trucks in it here tonight, live from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. It's the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series, live on V-Speed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside our producer, co-commentator of the season, Morgan Cook. And we've brought you a great regular season, but now it's playoff time for the first race. I tell you what, this whole season boiled down to 16 drivers, and the excitement, I could think of no better venue here today than Bristol to put these guys to the test on the reset.
Yeah, this racetrack will chew you up and spit you out if you don't respect it. And this concrete place, it's just intense to drive on. High banking, you can't hide, you're always in traffic. You have to be perfect at this racetrack to even finish the race, let alone win it.
Speed's ticking 15 seconds around this racetrack here today, and the setup looked very loose as we bring up the 30-degree banking at its peak. They tried dirt on this track, but let's be honest, it's better with its paved concrete surface. The action here with the multi-groove, you can run the high line, get a good run off into the exit of the turns, or you can run the low line, save the tires a little bit, and be there for the end. It really boils down to your personal strategy, how you are comfortable. A lot of guys don't favor that wall, but if you can figure it out early in this run, you probably stand to be up towards the front.
For sure, this track is it's definitely difficult, and running that top side, it'll separate the good drivers from the great drivers.
Race analysis up on your screen. 100 laps here today, 30 mile per hour pit road speed. It's going to be difficult to get down to that after going about 120 around the backstretch. Tire sets available will be three green, white checkers as always. Stage at lap 40 with the iRacing fixed setup. And that jumble in the points, here's the labeled drivers that made it in to that top 16. Barrett Morton, of course, with his 4 wins, he's going to be up on the point. Then you have Lucas Lyons, the only other driver to have multiple wins. He's going to be second in the points coming into today with about a 21-point deficit. It's 21 points back to Chris McCullough. And Christopher McCullough, surprisingly, he had the most consistent finishes of anyone. And there's actually another driver that was winless to get up here. That was Daniel Cunningham. A couple of these guys here looking to get their first win of the season. It could come at Bristol. This short track has been known to bring some new names up front.
And if you can win here, you can probably win anywhere. This is just one of those racetracks.
So all the way back to West Wigan in 16th here today. Well, let's take you trackside now. Get the grid up on your screen. Starting on the pole here today with a 14.387. Sorry, I misread that number by a long shot. 2 seconds almost. Bobby Hall Jr., who was fastest in practice, he's going to be on the top position. Peyton Hubbard is going to start with that's a snazzy paint scheme on that machine. The 51 is going to start outside the front row. Third spot's going to go to Christopher McCullough, and he'll be in the number 04. Barrett Morton, the points leader, in 4th position. Then you have Daniel Worthington and Daniel Cunningham. Daniel's side by side for row number 3. 7th spot goes to Kenneth McCullough Jr. with Lucas Lyons, that steady second in points here. He's going to begin 8th today. And rounding out that top 10, Kyle Mace and Andy Kurtz in the 5.
Starting 11th tonight, Sean Kaiser in the 24 machine. Stephen Page alongside him in the 56. 13th will be James Kaufman. Right beside rookie Zane Zadie, making, I believe, his 2nd start of the season. 15th, Wes Wigan, playoff driver, beside Justin Branham in the 58. 17th will be Chad Ross, another playoff driver, beside Tom Hall in the 93 machine. And your 10th row is Alex Healy in the 97, John Mollahan in the 6.
Curtis Shepard is going to be in the 21st position. Ron Morris Jr. in the 76, 22nd. 23rd, Jeremiah Hobbs and Brian Kaser is going to round out the rest of the field. Cody Anderson accidentally joined this session here, but he'll be race steward track official here today at Bristol, and he's going to have his work cut out for him. We saw him in practice here, Morgan. It was a handful. Bobby Hall, he was fastest in qualifying, fastest in practice, but man, was he on the edge.
Yeah, this racetrack is tough. We've said it a few times already, and that 94 is showing it. He's fast, but he is a bit of a dart without feathers at this point in the session. Hopefully we can get that turned around and go lead some laps here tonight.
Earl's shop, Hall Racing, Toyota Tundra going to start up front, and that's another pole, I believe, for the 94. He's had a few this season. It's just a matter of completing it. He turned the season around. We talked to him just before we hit playoff time in one of our post-race interviews and how he's been turning this whole thing around. So good to see him up front here. Pace truck's going to get out of our way, and we're going to take you on a fast track, high speed, high bank, concrete ride in Tennessee. Silverado moves out of the way to begin to unleash 600 horsepower plus down the front stretch. Green flag is out, and we're playoff racing at Bristol. Well, if you've ever heard a pair of shoes in the washing machine, that's what it's going to feel like here for the next 100 laps. Too wide back here with Kyle Mace, Daniel Worthington. We're going to see a lot of change for position early in this race. It's one of those smoking if you got them situations because these tires are going to wear out quickly. Down there on the bottom of the racetrack, you'll save a little bit more, but look at the run on the outside for the 113. Worthington works it up to 8.
And not only will you wear out the tires on the top side, but the bottom, if you don't hit it quite right, you'll burn up that right front tire, get loose on the top, tight on the bottom. You can really move around to keep the balance where you need it. This is a driver's racetrack.
48 of Lucas Lyons has already moved his way up to third spot. He is on the back bumper of Peyton Hubbard here coming off of turn 2. Kyle Mace following suit on that high line, but now you're kind of in that follow the leader trend. This is sort of like Kansas that we saw here on D-Speed, where it's almost impossible to pass. You have to choose. Maybe the guy makes a mistake in front of you. There's not very many opportunities.
Yeah, there'll be a big train here right away, and we're already seeing lap traffic a little bit off the nose of the leader. There's already a car off the pace. I think that's Mollahan. It is the 24th place driver. As Branham just had an issue here.
Oh, he did. He lost a little time there.
Kyle Mace too.
Kyle Mace falls back to 11th. There's a yellow flag. I believe it came out for James Kaufman in the 25.
Let's see if we can find out.
I'm not seeing it just
there
yet.
It is.
There's a spin.
Half slide.
That's just enough on the racing surface there coming out of turn 2 that iRacing had to throw the yellow. And anytime a vehicle's up on that racing surface, if they fall down here, do you see the asphalt, that pavement down on the bottom, the car gets out of the way. iRacing usually lets a single car spin slide, but if they're up in the racing groove, you're most likely going to see leaders coming around on the other side of you, and that's never a good recipe to keep it green.
No, not at this racetrack. You're already in traffic, too wide, can't pass anyone. And then you add a car spinning in front of you. It makes it very difficult to get the job done. But I think we got an answer to a question a lot of us have been wondering is, how long can you go on tires without it starting to affect the handling of the car? And I have a pretty comfortable number of 10 laps. We saw 3 drivers in that last green flag lap get loose. The 58, the 55, and the 25 all had some sort of incident on the backstretch, I believe. Leads me to think that tires are going to be an issue here all night.
Well, and with the points that we were talking about, the 48 car, who is second in points, is actually ahead of Barrett Morton, who's the leader coming into today, but it's only by 2 positions very early in this race. However, with the stage, if we hit lap 30, or lap 40 rather, and the 48 is still ahead of Morton, that's going to be a little gain, chipping away. That's what you have to do for these next 6 races.
And all Morton has to do is just have steady, solid races. He's well out ahead in the points. Obviously, winning 4 races in regular season will do that. He just has to be smart about it and keep it pointed in the right direction. There's that 9 machine right there.
Getting up here to possibly lead some laps for both these drivers. And we kind of go back to the history of what the 9 was able to do in the regular season. Kept his car smart. He was very smart, methodical about how he got up to the front. He waited until the very end of the race when it counted the most and didn't so much throw Hail Marys for those stage points, but the wins overall, those were the bonus points that put him up on the top here during the reset. Kudos to him. He did it better than anyone else. 4 wins total in the season. I don't think we had a 4-win season for anyone else in any other series.
No, he has been dominant this season, and he's going to go out here and try and win himself a championship.
Here we go. Bobby Hall on the front row. 51, Peyton Hubbard back to the green flag. Great jump there for Lucas Lyons. He's going to be to the inside of the 51 as they go into turn 1. Morton follows suit as they come out of the corner. And not a good restart there for the 51 of Peyton Hubbard. He lost 2 positions right out the gate. This is kind of like a hole shot on a dirt bike track. If you don't get that thing to hook up right then and there, it could take the entirety of the race just to make up a spot.
The battle for the lead. Lyons going to the top of Bobby Hall. He's going to get the run off the corner. Inch that 94 down. Let him get a good exit. See if Lucas can clear for the lead. And
he will.
There he goes.
Not quite just yet, but here off of turn.
He's got him off 4. There he is.
Bobby Hall, though, I mean, he's being a little conservative down there on that bottom line. He hasn't lost much time to Peyton Hubbard. Hubbard actually settles back out into the 3rd position. Barrett Morton must have made a mistake because he falls back to 5th. But there were single file all the way through this field. We got to go all the way back to Ron Morris Jr. and 12th position to see any kind of side-by-side. A little wiggle there by Alex Healy in the 97.
Worthington had a connection issue, it seems. He is gone now.
And Worthington back out on the racetrack. That's not what you want to see when these guys are almost 3 wide.
Somebody's loose. Mason with the wall hard.
That's going to
probably
around. Bring out a yellow. Wiggins sideways.
We're still wrecking back here. That 55 is killed. That thing's done.
Mace peels it off the racetrack. The entire right side of that truck is missing. We're still staying green, though. And unfortunately for him, after killing the right front of this thing, he's going to lose even more time.
Bobby Hall Jr. had an issue.
Coming down pit road, though, that's probably going to cost him 6-7 laps just to get to his stall.
Bobby Hall Jr., big damage on the nose of that 94 machine. He was 2nd. He's now back to 16th position. A lot of happenings here. Oh, Andy Kurtz having an issue. He's down at the bottom of the racetrack.
And the struggles continue for some of these contenders in the playoffs. You see the red spoilers on your screen. A lot of these guys just settling out, but Bobby Hall, who started up front, falls all the way out of the top 15. And you see Lucas Lyons starting to pull away from Peyton Hubbard about half a second. Go back to about 10th position. How about that 76 of Ron Morris Jr.? He's gained 12 spots since the green flag fell. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's got some speed in that 76.
And most importantly, he's not doing anything that's going to compromise his race. He's running a nice, consistent line in the middle of the racetrack. Not too high, not too low. There goes Kurtz behind him. 5's around.
5's around. That's going to bring out the yellow, second yellow of the night. Just about halfway through this stage and just a little over it. Unfortunately, that one on the racing surface. You saw what happened to the 55 of Mace, the 113, all of that carnage prior to that. We didn't have a replay so much happening after that. We just didn't have time to go back to it. But here's the self spin. Maybe gets loose. Yeah, he slides it, and the 113 gets a piece of it again.
Oh, Healy.
Oh, Healy.
Oh.
Let's get it on board with that.
Coming right up.
I believe he gets a piece of this, but it could have been a lot worse.
There's the 5 sliding in front of him, and this racetrack, you never really know where to go. He got loose himself.
Wow.
Did a great job fishtailing.
It.
Yeah, he did a good job fishtailing. A little bit of netco damage on the left front, but nothing that isn't repairable.
So caution number 2 on the racetrack. Lucas Lyons takes over the lead. He has now officially led 13 of these laps, and you can put him up there with crunch time. You got the reset in points. Now's the time to start winning. The 48 knows that, and his best success was at Eldora. And with the way this thing's handling here tonight, I'd say they're probably in the same ballpark with how they're coming off these corners.
And I believe that 51 was also pretty good at Eldora, if I'm not mistaken. He also ran well at Richmond, another very loose short track earlier in the season. So the cream is rising to the top. Barrett Morton obviously back here in 4th. Kenneth McCullough in between them in 3rd.
Count them out.
You know, these are all drivers that we expect to be up here. Cunningham's been good for most of this season. Bit of a surprise with Kaiser and Zadie here running 6th and 7th, both having really nice runs, as well as Page, Morris Jr., and Hobbs also having good runs out here. That's your top 10.
I also want to shout out to the 08 of Daniel Cunningham. He said he was going to do it, and he did. He put the ghost energy after that win last week. He said, well, I'm going to convert this car. And he ran Oregon Ducks. He said, they're bad luck. They let me down, and they must be letting me down on iRacing. So officially he's transitioned his paint scheme. Maybe this is the good omen for what the 08 has been capable of. We've seen him up front a lot this season, just not able to seal the deal.
And sometimes it's just a small change, a little psyche flip to try and get yourself the right mojo, and maybe this Orange Ghost energy scheme is exactly what the 08 needs.
So setting the double back up now here on lap number 30. We're going to have a short little sprint as a lot of these cars stayed out. Your top 17 have the same tires and fuel. There's actually one driver in that mix. It's Justin Branham. He had come down pit road on the first caution, so he's on 20 lap old tires. But the rest of the field, minus West Wigan 18th back, they're all on 30. They're trying to race this thing out to the stage break. However, there could be a couple drivers that sneak their way back into the top 10 and start to challenge these guys. Pace truck pulls off into the restart zone. Green flag's out. What a jump there by the 48. And we're back racing. 03 of Kenneth McCullough Jr. up into the top 5.
Big launch by that 48 machine. He's well out in front. That's about as big a lead as you're going to get here at Bristol. Good battle back here for 6th, though. Cunningham and Kaiser.
24 on the outside. The 08 trying to play that conservative line. Big run there for Sean Kaiser. And 77. We talked about Zain Zadi, I believe was the pronunciation I was told. Or Zadie. It's one of those. We'll get it right. I'm sure we'll be corrected. And if you go back and watch this broadcast, now's your time to let me know. Give me the full phonetic version of that. But I tell you, the 10 truck of Jeremiah Hobbs, another one of these big movers in the race. Ron Morris Jr. in the 76. These two starting to pick this field apart. I think they're going to get top 5 stage points at this pace. They're on move.
They got about 5 laps to do it as they line down quickly at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Oh, 3 wide right in front. Contact between the 77. Healy has to check up. Contact with the 113. He gets pummeled into turn 4 rather. And now back on the outside, the 76 loses a little bit of ground. The stage break coming fast. with the 3 wide. Car sideways, that's Chad Ross in the 38. He's able to save it with the guys ahead. Ron Morris is around. That's probably going to do it for the stage.
Well, we're still turning each other here under caution. That's just a case of 3 wide, and the bottom 2 didn't realize they were 3 wide. That's all it is. We'll go back here. Shot from above and see what happened.
48 of Lucas Lyons is going to get this stage, but here's the 3 wide on your screen. Contact. The 77 slides up into the 76. They were battling for just outside the top 5 with those trucks in front of him. And he's not very happy, I'd say.
I would think not. Let's have a look what happened to the 38 as well. He was spinning a little farther back in the frame. So far, so good there for Chad Ross. There it is, a little loose in. I wouldn't expect the 58 to be that low, and then all of a sudden, 76, 77 is spinning in front of him. So,
great save there.
It was. By
Ross to put that thing back straight. If he'd waited any longer, he might have met the pit wall.
That is an encounter you don't want to have. Pit wall's not very nice.
Definitely not. It doesn't move, I know that.
No, it's not like the pace truck. You can't just roll through it. It packs a little punch.
But officially, across that line for the stage, I believe we're going to give that to Lucas Lyons, unless my math is off here. I don't think that they're going to be able to make it back green in time. No, they are not. So how about that for the 48? He capitalized on the situation. He got ahead of Barrett Morton. Not exactly sure where Morton was when they crossed the line. I want to say it was somewhere in the top 5. But a few of these drivers electing to stay out track position, well, that's crucial. The 04 of Christopher McCullough, who probably came down pit road during that second caution, decides to stay out. James Kaufman, who had problems just prior, he brought out the first yellow. And then Zane Zadie in the number 77, he was part of that third yellow. He's got a little bit of right front damage, but he's going to stay out there. Now it looks like he's going to get an EOL penalty.
Yeah, I believe he was determined to be the cause of that caution, but it's unfortunate he didn't hit pit road here, because he's going to start tail end of the field with the oldest tires that are about 30 laps older than the rest of the field. I don't think that truck's going to handle too well, and I would be concerned if I were him. He might end up being the first car lapped in this event if it goes to green after this.
Kyle Mace has DNF'd from the event. He had heavy damage. He brought it down pit road, realized that it was more damage than what he was able to repair in a timely fashion. Even with the yellow flags, probably going to be out of this race anyway, and Kyle Mace is done. But 04 leads him into turn 1. We're back live and racing for the second stage here at Bristol. Contact with Kaufman. 25's around on the outside wall. Big checkup, and 3 trucks sideways. We're still wrecking into 4. Justin Branham into the inside wall. But this all triggers with the 25 coming up out of the corner. He went to the outside, Morgan. He wasn't clear. I believe that was Sean Kaser on the outside. But this 25 truck was not clear. Comes up a little too high. And there's more wrecking. Healy gets punted into the entrance of 3. Believe that was another Flex Motorsports driver, Bobby Hall, I believe, that got into the front of Kaufman.
Let's have a look with the 24 machine. He was obviously involved in this incident. See what happened here. Yeah, 25 just Hall
Motorsports. Sorry about that.
25 comes across the nose, and then he's got a bunch of other machines there. 56 is in it. Oh, 113 heavy into the wall. Allhand does a good job avoiding, but yeah, just the case of self-clearing, and that will, it happens that fast here at Bristol.
Minus Sean, or rather the 25 of James Kaufman's self-spin, the 113 of Daniel Worthington has been involved in every single caution so far. This one, heavy damage. He's got a lot to repair here. If he wants to be back in contention, he's going to fall out of the top 20, try to get some of this worked on. but the likelihood of him going a lap down with all this damage is pretty high.
Yeah, that car can't be handling well with all that damage, especially to the right front. That's about the worst place you could have it. And I don't know if he's intentionally off the pace like this, if he's just pacing, or if he's no, he's just pacing. If he's really feeling it, but I guess we'll find out here when we go back racing.
Approaching the halfway point, the laps tick away under yellow. We had a good stint there in the first stage of about 13, 14 laps. Thought we were going to try to race this thing out to the very end of the stage, but just 3 laps prior, another yellow flag comes out, and it changes the course of this race with the top 3 changing hands. Barrett Morton, the points leader, he's to the outside of the 48, who made up that advantage, got that first stage. But now, if you're Lucas Lyons, you've got competition. This is when the 9 starts to turn it up. We're past halfway just about when we go back green.
Those are your 2 winningest drivers on the season making up that second row. That's 6 wins between them. Maybe they can make it 7.
Trying to add to the list, but the opportunity to do so presents itself. Pace truck out of the way. Let's put him back up to full song here at the last great Coliseum. 0-4 into turn 1. Great jump. Everyone on the front row on the restarts has gotten this, but the 51's going to fight back. There's the 48 on the back bumper, and here comes Morton to the outside. Truck up into the wall. I believe that was Ross again. He has problems back here. Big checkup on the outside. He's going to get it settled back down right in front of the 56 machine of Stephen Page. Sideways here for Healy, up in the front of the 10. Sean Kaser, big checkup.
Oh, no.
88's involved.
That was a big one.
0-3, who was up front before that stage break. He's in it. Healy got loose and tagged. I think he slid through. A lot of wheel hop here for the 97. Remember, this is the winner at Pocono, locked himself into the playoffs, but that thing just got snappy loose, broke free. What a shot there. 2 trucks into the outside wall. I'm not sure who that was. Was that Stephen Page in the 56?
It was.
Just obliterated the front end.
Yeah, there are a lot of modified looking trucks out here. A lot of damage on quite a few machines. We're going to take a quick commercial break here while we fix some technical issues. You're watching the Overtake iRacing League live on VSpeed. Back right after this.
Here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count after 37.
Oh!
The road gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back live at Bristol Motor Speedway, the fastest half mile in the country. The 0-4 Christopher McCullough is up on the point. He has Peyton Hubbard and Lucas Lyons, 2 hungry trucks for a win here. You also have the 9, who had 4 in the regular season, lurking in the background. The 0-4 has had glimpses of greatness here, but ultimately the season as a whole, he had the red spoiler. he was able to put it into the playoffs. Now he needs to start putting all the pieces together. All of these drivers up here into the top 5, actually up into the top 8, have those playoff banners. If you look all the way back to the 88 of Wes Wiegand in the 8th position here, those drivers ready to go. Let's see if we can re-rack and get them going all the way to lap 100. Very loose trucks. Another great jump, I'm sure. 0-4 out of the whole shot. And here we go for another stint. 9 of Morton on the outside, side by side for second already. We've seen the struggles with the handling. These guys getting very flagrant with how they're drifting out of these corners. Some contact back there deep in the field. That was Andy Kurtz having a problem. Side by side from 8th, 9th position. The top 7 have tried to check out already. Wes Wiegand pulls away from the 0-3. Kenneth McCall under fire. Car in the wall, that's Kurtz. We were riding on board there as you saw him brush the wall, but the 5 has struggled very early and very frequently here. This thing looks out of control, and some of the guys, the most talented drivers in this league, have struggled. Alex Healy's had problems. The 38 of Ross has had issues. Barrett Morton fighting for 3rd. He's on the outside. He gets past the 48.
That 9 machine is moving forward right on cue. About 60% of the way through this race. He's found himself on the podium once again.
Lots of racing left to be done, though. We're talking about over 40 laps. Here we come up by for lap 59. Perfect opportunity here. If you haven't heard the sights and sound of Bristol at full song, let's turn up the volume, find those buttons, and bring some noise here on V-Speed. Truck around, that's at 58. He's going to lock it down and save it. But the pass for the lead is not over, and we got trouble in the front. The 51 into the outside wall. He was not clear of the 0-4. He's going to lose 4 positions. And the yellow is out. We need to unpack a lot here because I believe the yellow happens somewhere else on the racetrack. I believe it happens with Dakota Shepard in the 101. But let's go back on the replay and see if we can get a shot of both of this happening simultaneously. The 101 is going to bring this yellow out, but the pass for the lead goes wrong just as this yellow comes out.
Oh, we got a big issue.
Right in front of him. That's the 25 of Kaufman.
Let's find what happened with Kaufman here first.
I believe that was Hobbs in the 10 as well that got collected.
Oh, it's Morris. Morris got loose, it looks like. No, that's the lap before, sorry. Morris did a good job saving that machine, actually. That could have been a real big one, but... more lap here, it seems.
It's Healy, actually, that gets destroyed. I'm not sure.
Oh, the 93's around, and this driver's trying to avoid him. Let's give it one more shot with the 93.
Hall.
Just loose
and then
on
we
his
definitely need to go look at the leaders right after this here, the 51. Oh man, the 07 gets tagged as well. Brian Kaser is sideways, but here's the pass that goes wrong. Wasn't clear, came up in front of the 04 and watch him lose all these spots. Yeah, luckily the yellow comes out just as he's about to get cleared by Barrett Morton. That yellow flag freezes the field, keeps him up here.
Yeah, I've definitely been that 51. Driving up in front of another machine off the corner of off of a corner here at Bristol. Been there, done that, and been probably as upset as Peyton Hubbard is right now.
And honestly, it's kind of one of those you feel like you have the momentum to clear. Just so tough to judge because of that straightaway speed. You get up there on the outside, the track flattens out, you're ready, you're hooked up. Guy on your inside's ready to move up in front of you. And you kind of meet in the middle.
When you meet in the middle, good things usually don't happen, especially at this racetrack being just there's nowhere to go. There's walls everywhere. There's other cars everywhere. You just never get out of trouble. So if a car gets loose, a car gets tight, you're usually going to find yourself into somebody's door or off somebody's nose. That's just the way this place works.
Alex Healy finds his way up here into the top 3, but he has heavy damage on the rear end and front end of that machine after that caution. 04 of Christopher McCullough brought it down pit road. So the top 2 electing to stay out. Bobby Hall Jr., who started on the pole, finds his way back to the lead. But at what cost? We have 12 lap difference on tires. I think right now, Morgan, we're kind of seeing the strategies with guys that are just trying to save that last set for that last caution.
And you don't know when that last caution is. Maybe we just had it. Maybe we're going to have it, you know, when we go green. Maybe it'll be 20 laps from now. It's really hard to tell. And that's the difficult part about saving your stuff until the end, is you never know when is the last time they're going to say go.
Oh, in the situation, 6 cautions, 5 lead changes. This race still not decided by any means. You have all of these different drivers that are red banners, red spoilers, just trying to start the season and the postseason, the playoffs off on a good note. But first, we have to finish this race. The 94 gets the jump. Check up there with Healy. That damage hindering that truck, and now Morton to the inside. 38 of Ross. Man, that 97 machine is very off the pace here. Everybody goes to the inside. 51 loses it. 48 dives to the inside. They're 4 wide going into turns 1 and 2. Big bump back there with Wigan in the middle. Peyton Hubbard falling like a rock. They're still 3 wide on the outside.
The 51 machine has some serious right front damage. It's probably really tight right now. Won't rotate through the center.
In a yellow.
Is that the... No, not that machine.
I believe it was Worthington. Go back here. I believe the 113 caught up in something else. He's bringing it down pit road, so it wasn't him. I mean, we had a lot of things going on here. It could have been any one of these guys. Watching Mullahan, he was 3 wide.
Caution's already out there. Kaiser maybe. Damage on that 24 machine. Kurt's got to move the fence. I don't know how that wasn't a caution. 3 wide at Bristol is not ideal.
Especially how we've been seeing this thing handle. It's already a handful enough. When you come into the corner by yourself, you've seen a lot of self-spins coming out of the exits where guys just tag the apron, really upset the truck. You saw the 51 who brought him 3 wide. It easily could have been another mistake for the guy on the bottom of the racetrack trying to keep the line. He could have tagged the apron, took them all with him. Very easy to do here at Bristol.
This is just such a difficult racetrack. We said it over and over and over again. That's why it's such a big deal to win here. If you can win here, they give you that big sword, and you feel like you are the greatest race car driver to ever live, because this place will just beat you up. You could be running, we've seen it all over the place. You could be the leader, running away with it, no problem, and all of a sudden, you get door slammed out of the way. Lap car wrecks in front of you. Something crazy happens, and you end up losing a race, not because of your doing at all. That's just how this racetrack is. Similar to Daytona Talladega, in that it is just a big wild card.
So 73 laps completed. Gonna go back green with about 25 to go. Your pole sitter finds his way back up front. Barrett Morton, I tell you what, he's still lurking back there. I would probably venture to say that when it comes down to this last, whatever may be the last restart, he's always found a way to get it done.
He has. He restarts very well, and he just picks off one driver at a time. He'll start somewhere in the teens usually, and then just by midway through the race, he's up in the about 8th, 7th, and then every caution, every restart, every run, you get one spot. He ends up always here in the top 3 with about 20 to go.
So setting back up. Pace truck's going to pull off next time by. We double up with Bobby Hall, Christopher McCullough, Barrett Morton, Alex Healy, and Chad Ross on that top 5. Lucas Lyons, who had a little problem there on that restart, had to go 3 wide briefly with the 51. He lost a couple positions, but he'll restart just outside the top 5. And actually setting back up for this double, I think he'll be on the preferred line on this restart, so maybe he can stand to get some of that ground back. You have the 38, the 08, the 03. I mean, all of these guys, red banners. I love to see it. What a wild card race it's been here at Bristol to start out the playoffs, because any one of these guys is in contention to win. You've seen the handling of this truck. Any one of these guys can make a mistake and someone else could be up front.
I mean, the fact that this 97 is up here with how bad that truck is damaged kind of tells you everything you need to know about this race.
Yeah, and you wouldn't get away with that anywhere else. I mean, maybe Martinsville. That's the only other track I can think of that Overtake iRacing League has been at that damage was not as much of a factor. However, Healy knows that this is crunch time. It's been a pretty big drought since Pocono. He would love to get up here and get this win. As you see him heating those tires up, trying to get ready for this restart. Bobby Hall is going to hit the loud pedal. Healy will have the advantage here on the outside. Maybe have a position over Morton when they go into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see on this restart. There they go.
I think we're a little behind here in the commentary booth, working lap 78.
Oh, I believe we are. I'm having some technical issues myself tonight. Bobby Hall has already checked out, and Healy is having some problems. He's falling back. So, yeah, now that I'm caught up, situationally, trucking the wall back there. That's the stick, the Mullahan, and caution's out.
51's also around, involved in that, I would have to assume. Let's go back and have a look. Mullahan and Kaiser. There to turn 1. Oh yeah, Mullahan loose on the exit, checks up. Branham's involved, 51's involved, and ooh, Branham got the wall hard. Yikes. For that 58 machine. There he is. Damage not too bad, but that is far from what that Red Bull machine's supposed to look like if it was a perfect race here at Bristol.
A shorter wheelbase now on the Red Bull 58, and you see just behind him as they start pit road, can't quite decide if they're going to come down and take that last set. I mean, some of these guys are willing to burn it now, or they're just in a situation where they have to get damage repaired, and they might as well come in and get 4 fresh tires. However, if you are the 51 right now, you've got to be kicking yourself. You were one of the fastest trucks on this racetrack, and you fell out of the top 15.
I mean, good news is he's currently running 11th. That means he has to pit, obviously, and that's going to change some things. But this truck's just outside the top 10. Looks like the damage is fixed. Right front looks okay. He should be able to maintain that same speed he had earlier if the right front's fine. So I think maybe once we get, once we get sorted here, he might have a decent chance at getting some points out of this race.
Going to get some more of that damage repaired. Bobby Hall elects to come down pit road as well. He'll give up the lead to the 04 of Christopher McCullough. Now we start to play this. Who's going to have the final set for the final restart game? Even more in depth. Who has them right now? The top 10 looking good, but there's a few drivers that have already came down. Daniel Cunningham, Alex Healy, Wes Wiggin. They're in the stint now where they could easily get into the top 5 if this race stays green.
Yeah, this 08 machine, Daniel Cunningham, that is the first driver on new tires. About 20 laps separate the top 7 from everyone behind Cunningham. So this should be an interesting look on this restart.
This restart's going to be chaos, because you already saw how some guys were getting out of the corners a little bit better, and now you add brand new tires into the mix. How patient they're going to have to be to pick these guys off at the right time, especially on the older tires. You start to wash out and ride towards the wall. Very difficult situation for this top 8.
and all these drivers want to do is just keep it clean and let it roll for 15 laps. It's going to be difficult to move through all these cars for the 08, for the 5, for the 97 in just 15, 14 laps when we go back green. Especially if there's a caution. If there's a caution, this is really going to change the complexion of this race, but I guess we're going to find out here right away.
04, Christopher McCullough going to take the green flag for the 9th time today. Back live, here's Morton. Can he keep pace on the restart? He's been pretty good so far. He's going to stay with him, but here comes Lucas Lyons for 3rd. He's going to poke to the inside, almost gets him clear off of the turn, across the line. He is in 2nd officially.
He's going to clear for 2nd. That's a great launch by that 48. He clears himself up in front of the 9. Set sight on our leader, who is struggling around the top side.
And what a run there for the 48. He drives into the corner deeper and is still able to get the run off. Look at that diamond on the exit. 48 truck challenging for the lead. He knows that this is the time to get it. We can have another yellow flag and run him out of laps. Side by side and more contact. 04, and now the 9 dives to the inside, using him up on the wall. That's the 2nd time today we've seen it.
That was a big self-clear by the 48. It obviously didn't quite work out. It did end up getting the lead, but both those trucks sustained a little bit of damage. Morton has not gone away yet.
And I guarantee if that 04 gets back to the rear bumper of the 48, he's going to let him know about it. He's trying to do the approach, but he's got the 9 of Morton, gets loose coming off of 4. He's going to fall back into line. How about this 08 now working his way to the 4th position? He's challenging Chad Ross. This is the first side-by-side we have in this top 10. Now you go on back to Wes Wiegand. He's inside the 77. Lots of racing left to be done. 10 laps to go next time by.
That 08's the first truck on new tires. He's trying to make him work right now. He's up to P4. Wiegand gets a little bit squirrely out of the corner. Great run for the 77 machine, too. Up running P8 right now. Good for him. That's Zane's 80. There.
80 in recovery mode after that early caution. Back on the rear bumper, though. Look at the 48, the battle for the lead. Christopher McCullough did give a little chip there, and the yellow flag comes out. Looked like the 04 was reminding the 48 of that move earlier.
I think it's the 101 here who driving the modified. I don't even know what kind of truck that is. Toyota Tundra. Bit of an issue. Right in front of that 76, also modified. Ooh, a little bit of contact there. Could be. 25 sure is glad that it was. That was just about a problem there, but that was really close racing. I'm not sure if it was net code or not, but around goes the 101.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a gap there in between those two trucks that didn't justify a spin unless he was loose already. But that's going to set him up for green-white checkered territory. I don't think we're quite there. We might be able to shoot this one out in regulation if they double back up here by lap 96. I don't see why we couldn't, but if we get another yellow, Morgan, we've got 3 attempts at it here today.
And at the rate we're going, how loose these trucks are and how hungry all these drivers are for that first playoff win, we might use all 3. Hard to say.
Have a lap down truck of the number 58 trying to get a wave around. Doesn't look like that situation's going to work out for him. Justin Branham just trying to get back on the lead lap. He was maybe hoping these guys up in the top 2 would pit, but at this point, with not a lot of laps to go, I think it would probably be race ending if you came down pit road. If you're in this top 5, stay out, take your chances. Outside of that, I would roll the dice. If I'm Andy Kurtz, struggled all day with handling Wes Wiegand, these guys that have been in and out of the top 10, you might as well, if you have it, come down and get that last set.
Yeah, I'd be weary if I was Kenneth McCullough Jr., Andy Kurtz, Zane's 80, because you got fresh tires right behind you, and you for sure know they're not coming. So I'd almost stay out. The only drivers I think in fact, I don't think anyone would even consider pitting here based on the tire strategy. It's just kind of a weird place in the race. 5 laps to go. We go back green with maybe 2 to go, maybe 3 to go. Be tough to pass any kind of cars without a big melee in front of you.
Situations where, you're just critical thinking that you'd have to go through without somebody up on the box here to explain anything that's going on around you. That's quite the gamble to come down. But at this point, being out on the racetrack is almost more of a gamble, Morgan. It's been chaos.
I hear you, and that's one of the hard things about iRacing is you have to figure out your strategy on the fly. There aren't spotters on the roof watching over these guys. There is a virtual one, but he doesn't deal with strategy. There's no one to tell you, hey, if you hit here, you're X to the end, and you're going to undercut this guy. You have to figure it out yourself while you're driving, maintaining control of these very hard to drive vehicles on this absolute menace of a racetrack.
Well, we will take the restart with 3 laps to go, almost the natural green-white checkered. 48's going to start on the outside, Christopher McCullough in the 0-4. So Lucas Lyons trying to get his first win since the regular season, the first one in the playoffs. This could be the one he needs to take the lead going into next week. Green flag is out. We're back underway. Great jump there. He just has to get around here 2.5 more times. And it's chaos behind him. The fresh tires of the 08. He's going to get to the outside of Barrett Morton. Morton, who capitalized at the end of every single race in the regular season, looks like he's on the wrong side of the strategy. He's going to fall back to 5th, possibly.
All he wants to do is not self-clear.
There it is. The battle for the lead. 0-4, 48 to the point. Contact into turn 3. Moves him up the racetrack, gets to his inside. Will he use him up? He won't. He'll lose the nose. And the 48 of Lucas Lyons is going to be victorious in the first race of the playoffs.
Wow. I really thought there was going to be some more fireworks than that between the 04 and the 48. They raced hard into turn 3. And the 04, he was there. All he had to do was a little bit higher on the racetrack, maybe move that 48 out of the way a little bit, and he very well could have been the one in victory lane here. He'll settle for 2nd tonight.
Based off of those moves right there, he tried to push him up out of the way. It just wasn't enough. He did it subtly. He wasn't trying to wreck Lucas, but he was trying to move him up the track. Ultimately, though, Lucas handled it well. He got the truck back underneath of him, and he comes victorious in the first race of the postseason. So how about that for the Cofield 48? Christopher McCullough, I mean, great drive for him as well. This is what you want to do here when we come to the playoffs. Chad Ross is going to get 3rd. Impressive race for him. He gained 14 positions to put it up here in the top 3. Post-race interviews with your top 3. Final results will come up on your screen. We're going to take a quick commercial break while we round up all that information for you. You're watching the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series live at Bristol. We'll be back on V-Speed right after this.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The wheel gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Slack.
A push from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back live at Bristol Motor Speedway, the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series has concluded its first playoff race of the season for 100 laps at the last great Coliseum, I think, doesn't do it justice. We saw probably some of the best racing on the last lap that we've ever seen. Christopher McCullough tries to put the move on Lucas Lyons, but ultimately doesn't work, and he will be victorious. Chad Ross is going to bring it home in third for what I believe is a career high here in the Overtake iRacing League. I don't think we've had Chad Ross in the top three just yet, at least not in the Truck Series. Daniel Cunningham brings it home in fourth. 0-8 with those fresher tires, just not able to have enough laps to get it going. Barrett Morton falls back to fifth. I don't think he's going to have the points lead. It's going to be really close after tonight. It was close coming into today by 21 points, and Lucas Lyons wins the stage and the race, so going to be close. Kenneth McCullough Jr. is going to finish sixth with Zane Zadie in the 77, bringing home seventh. Good recovery for him. Andy Kurtz able to finally get that thing handling enough to stay in the top 10. He'll finish 8th. Sean Kaser in the 24 and 9th. And Wes Wiegand will round out your top 10.
Finishing 11th tonight, Alex Healy. We saw that truck absolutely wadded up. He restarted, I think, second and fell back to the field, but recovered into 11th. Bobby Hall Jr. started on pole, led quite a bit of this race, ends up in 12th. Peyton Hubbard was the leader when he found the outside wall, 13th for the 51 tonight. Kaiser in the 07 didn't really talk about him too much tonight, up 10 spots to 14th. Mullahan in the 6 also didn't say much about him. Playoff driver finished 15th. Kaufman spun around a few times, 16th for the 25 machine. Everyone else one lap down. Dakota Shepard in the 101, he was driving a modified tonight. Branham had a couple issues in the 58. Worthington in the 113, and Ron Morris Jr., another modified, in 20th.
A lot of open wheel setups here tonight at Bristol, knocking the fenders off. These guys had a tough time, but Stephen Page, one of the trucks that got heavy damage, was not able to really finish this race at speed. He'll bring it home 21st. Tom Hall, one of the first drivers to bring it behind the pit wall. Jeremiah Hobbs also behind there, 50 laps down. Kyle Mace, probably the first casualty of the race very early on. The caution did not come out, and he will finish in 24th, 80 laps down. So that brings us now to our post-race interviews. I'm rushing down pit road now. We're going to talk with Chad Ross in third place. He brought it home in what was an impressive start to this playoff. Chad, I tell you what, man, you picked a fine time to put it up here on the podium when you reset the points and that 38 truck just starts to sing. How about it here tonight at Bristol?
Man, I'm really happy with this one because I came into the weekend thinking I was really going to have a shot at it. And when practice started, that was not going to be the case. And I don't know why. I just felt like I was a little bit off, and it kind of showed the speed, and qualified 17th, and used a little pit strategy, got up there and was able to stay up there, man.
Well, the Tampa Bay red flag on the side of your truck, we almost had some of those situations here today with some red flags on this racetrack. Let's talk a little bit about how the carnage to overcome all of that, the wrecks here tonight. It was almost like, you just kind of shot for a hole and held it to the floor because you couldn't afford to check up.
There was two of them that was, it was almost 50-50. You know, it was just, I got lucky, and I think I went low on both of them, and it worked out because I definitely could have been involved in them. And not talking to you and throwing stuff and mad because I finished 20th or whatever, but I dodged a couple bullets, and my truck's a little scraped up, but we were able to bring it home.
Well, if that truck's not scraped up at Bristol, I don't think you were trying hard enough.
That's
38.
right.
Chad, congratulations on this finish, and the first time I think we've had you up in the booth here this season as well. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, great finish. Do you have anyone you'd like to shout out?
No, I got to be up here last week, but maybe you weren't here. And one other time at Daytona, but glad to be up here again. Hope to be up here next week at Kansas. Thank all my buddies on Team 3 for running with me. They had some rough luck tonight, but we'll go on to next week. Thanks for the great broadcast you guys do. Thanks, Allison, everybody. And I want to say hi to my dad that's watching at home every week. Thanks.
That's Chad Ross, third place finisher. And I apologize for maybe it was a Tuesday night race that I wasn't a part of there in the Xfinity League, but Daytona as well. You were up in the top 3. So we appreciate your time, Chad. We hope to get to talk to you again.
Yes, sir. Next week.
The confidence level starting to build here for the 38 team. He's going to bring it home third in a great start to the playoffs. Morgan Cook is down on pit road. He has the 0-4 of Christopher McCullough.
Christopher McCullough, Morgan and Bradley up in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, this was a good run for you tonight. Started third, finished second, ran up at the front all race long. That 04 doesn't look like it has much of a scrape on it, even though you find yourself in the outside wall a few times. I think you know where my question is going. You had a bit of a battle there with Lucas Lyons. Why don't you talk about that with us here tonight?
Yeah, I should have gotten the back of him in 3. That's really what it should have summed up to. But yeah, he just ran me into the wall there. He said he got tight or whatnot, and just killed my momentum. I was just taking it easy on the tires, going to hold the top. I felt like I was way better. But, with cautions kept coming, I couldn't get a chance. But yeah, it is what it is. I thought about getting into him a couple times there, and I didn't want to get an EOL or throw away a decent finish. It's still early in the championship hunt here, so I'll take a second. But I had a good truck. My McCullough Motorsports truck was real good.
Right on. So on the last lap, obviously you got to his inside. You're inside his left rear quarter panel. What was the thought there? You're just trying to scare him, trying to get him loose. You're trying to dive underneath him. What was your intent by putting your truck in that position in that corner?
He checked up early in the corner because I'm pretty sure he assumed I was about to get right into his rear end. So, when he checked up, I had to react a little bit quicker than I'd like, and I just turned left because I didn't want to turn him. In that situation, he made the right move because I was going to give him a tap, but I didn't want to crush him and wreck him, So once I cut low, it was his race to win. I could have maybe gotten to his right rear or left rear, but, I just don't try to race that way because I don't like to be in race that way.
Well, you're a better man than I've definitely accidentally, maybe on purpose, gotten in the back of somebody after they fenced me a time or two. You remember that one, Bradley? But
Nope.
good run here tonight, Christopher, and anyone you want to shout out for a great race.
Yeah, I got to thank my McCullough Motorsports teammates. Looks like Kenny came home with a 6. The rest of them had some speed, just didn't have the luck go their way. But I got to thank all the admins that put this on. Thank Cody for being race control. These drivers we race with, they don't cut you much slack, but it is fun to be able to race to the limit every race. But thank you guys for broadcasting as well.
You bet. Well, you sure showed that you can drive it right to the limit and restrain yourself. So congratulations, Christopher, on the second place finish and setting yourself up well for the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you, gentlemen. Y'all have a great night now.
You as well.
And that's your second place finisher of the night, Christopher McCullough. He was to the inside coming out of turn 4. Just as he said, couldn't quite get the pass completed. Had to check up a little earlier than he anticipated. But ultimately, the move here, that brings us to victory lane. Lucas Lyons is victorious, and I know that it comes with kind of an asterisk there where you got into the side of the 04. He probably wasn't happy about it. But from your perspective, what was going on with the truck there? It wasn't intentional. I would assume that maybe the handling just got away from you.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was running the bottom on that restart past a few trucks, and then when I got to him, throttled up the same exact point, and it just pushed up the track, and I tried to get out of it, but I tried to give him room on exit, but it just kind of forced me in the wall, and I talked to him about it. I know he's probably not the happiest with it, but it's also just short track racing, in my opinion. If it was earlier in the race, I would have gave it back to him because I don't like being raced that way. But I was definitely expecting the bumper there at the end, so I entered the corner a little bit slower to still have the run off the corner. But surprisingly, didn't get it. I mean, he did give me a few little taps, but nothing to really move my truck out of the way.
Yeah, we saw the tap there on, especially on the final lap where you guys went in. He said you checked up a little earlier than he anticipated, and that set the move where he had to commit to the inside, and you played it well there off of 4. But I want to go back to talk about Eldora. That was the first track that we saw you really dominant. Did this truck, because of the handling, kind of put you in that same wheelhouse where that handling, you were just constantly loose, you were wheeling it off the corners? How did it feel was it more familiar out there today?
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't have any clue. Because you can ask all my teammates. I was pretty upset with how I was running at practice. Of course, I like to run practice harder than I actually run the race, so I know where the limit is. And ended up getting like 100 incident points in it. But man, I honestly couldn't tell you because I really didn't feel comfortable running the bottom. But on the top, I felt like I had more grip, and that's where I tried to stay for most of the race, unless I actually had to go to the bottom. But I think it was more of a Dover kind of race for me because most of the time I was getting loose off the corner. There was a few times I was getting loose in, but it was mainly corner exit, just like Dover.
Outside of that, Lucas, you bring it into the playoffs with a victory right out of the gate. You capitalized on the points by getting the stage victory. You led almost all, well, I would say you led the most laps here today confidently. I could say that with the 48 team. You did everything you could. You pulled the trifecta. What's in store for us next week?
I gotta make sure where we're even at next week. So you just give me 1 second.
I can tell you the answer if you'd like.
No, I got it. I'm saying it should be fun. I ran Kansas not too long ago. I know Morgan watched that race because he was broadcasting it. But hopefully you'll see the 48 up there again, and hopefully continue for a win. I know Coda is probably going to be the race that Peyton wins. He's always good at road courses, but I'm expecting maybe a top 5 there. So hopefully a good little setup for the second round of the playoffs here.
Well, Lucas, we appreciate your time up here in the booth, and congratulations on the victory. When it matters most, this is the time to start doing it. You put it back in victory lane. Is there anyone you'd like to shout?
First, I want to thank Top Tier, Coalfield Asphalt Refinishing, Coalfield Supply and Service, Southeast Tutoring, Honor Home Loan, Scotty Oliver Racing, SM Racing Products. If you use code Lucas Lyons at checkout, you can save 15% off on your purchase. Helps everybody out who uses that code. I want to thank you all for putting this on. I want to thank Fungus for tuning in, Scotty for tuning in, Austin for tuning in, Mike, people who always come in and watch the races, whether it's a nice green flag or a little bit more of a hectic race. But I appreciate all the Bandits guys at C2, and I want to thank OiL for putting this on. It's always fun to come out here. I know I've been let my emotions get the better of me sometimes, but I'm kind of trying to work on that slowly but surely. But yeah, that's all I got.
We compared it to a microscope, I believe.
Yeah,
is what we went with.
Yeah, being under that microscope's not any fun. So I'm definitely trying to work on that. I already talked to Alex about it, and I told him exactly what happened, and he says it's all good. It's just short track racing. So hopefully that's what they stay with, because honestly, I had a lot of fun tonight. It's been a nice change of pace here tonight.
Well, Lions, you're victorious. You're probably on that verge of the points lead if you didn't snag it away going into Kansas. Congratulations, driver, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Race winner Lucas Lyons in the number 48 in good fashion puts it on top here at Bristol. That brings us to the conclusion of today's race. If you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast, I know I did. I think it was a little more cautions than we were anticipating, but these guys handled it well. A lot of handling issues, though, overall. This truck setup, Morgan, it looked like it was just on the verge from lap 1.
Yeah, it's always free here at Bristol. You got to be loose in to make the corner, and we definitely saw that a bunch tonight. A lot of wheel hop into the corner, causing some drivers to lose control, but that's just Bristol, baby.
So that's it for the short track, and we're going to move on next week to Kansas Speedway, the 1.5-mile oval in the Midwest. The Corn State going to bring us probably some of the familiar action you've seen here on V-Speed, with the outside line starting to prevail later in the run. Hopefully the weather and the transition, we can see some inside passes. Very difficult there. If you thought it was tough to pass here at Bristol, well, you got another thing coming. That race could go green all the way. So we hope you guys can join us there next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. And tune in tomorrow. We have Xfinity Racing for the first race of their playoffs as well. But for everybody here at V-Speed, Morgan Cook, my producer and co-commentator of the season, Adam Baker in the background, and the owner of V-Speed, all the things he does that puts all this together. Eddie Smith. I don't even know where that came from. Eddie Smith, Christian Hill, the other producers here at V-Speed. This is Bradley Cooper telling you guys to have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you tomorrow night here on V-Speed.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The wheel gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
Here comes
comes
Slack.
Slack.